We have one more introduction to do for this evening, and that is Amy Clough. Amy Clough is the creative cookie brains behind Cloud 9 Cookies. Isn't that clever? A lifelong lover of crafty things, Amy dove headfirst into the decorated cookie world in 2011. Cookies quickly became an obsession, so much that she left a 15-year middle school science teaching career and built a commercial kitchen cookie studio in her backyard to create her edible works of art. As a CookieCon fanatic, Amy has attended every single CookieCon in some capacity. As an attendee, or instructor, or add-on instructor, and her cookie style reflects her attention to textural details with a soft spot for realistic food cookies, as seen here. One of her true cookie jams is shape-shifting, where she uses a single cookie cutter for multiple designs. Amy's passion for repurposing cutters has earned her placing in 3 CookieCon mystery shape competitions over the years. She always does a wonderful job of that. A country girl and nature lover at heart, Amy lives on rural Maryland's eastern shore with her husband Mike, great name, and 2 sons. If she's not in her cookie kitchen, she's camping with her family or trying to snuggle with her 2 kitties. With the endless support of her family and cookie community, Amy truly is living on cloud 9. Let's welcome Amy. We are also going to welcome Matt, the AV guy, who's going to help us switch over here. So be patient.
My parents don't believe this, so I can't even send this to them on a cell phone because they don't even have a smartphone. They turn it off when they're not using it, so I'm like, gosh, voicemail again. Oh, it might help if you had a password.
Don't tell them your password's hot stuff 25. Alright, you need to leave. She's gonna kick him out. Security. Again?
Yeah.
I'm talking to my friends out here.
Yeah. I'm dragging you out. I love
Hey, there's It's so funny. So many people have said, "Oh my gosh, are you nervous? Are you nervous?" And I'm like, freakishly not. It's so weird. Okay. So anyway, good evening, cookiers.
Yeah.
I am Amy Clough from Cloud 9 Cookies. I am absolutely honored to welcome you to this momentous 10-year celebration of CookieCon. To returning CookieCon attendees, I am so happy to see you again. I knew you couldn't stay away. And to those of you who are new to the CookieCon community, welcome to the sweetest family in the entire universe. Soak in every minute of these next few days, as it will be over in a flash. Understand, however, that you are on CookieCon time. You can return to your regularly scheduled diet and exercise and sleep routines in a few days. Trust me, you don't want to miss a thing. As I need a drink of water. I hate this Reno air. I'm from Maryland, so this whole no humidity is like stupid. Just saying. All right. I'm going to start off with a pretty bold statement. CookieCon changed. CookieCon changed my life. When we talk about our cookie stories, our cookie journeys, CookieCon provided so many milestones for me along the way. Now that you all are here, you can also say that CookieCon is part of your story. My cookie story started ages ago. My mom used to give me cookie cutters that had the little packaging attached to it, the decorated part, and I would look at it and scoff at it and say, who's got the time to do all that? Previously, I would just make the dough, throw sanding sugar on it, bake it, and call it a day. In the fall of 2011, I finally decided to try my hand at my first official decorated cookies. They were a set of fall leaves and pumpkins and turkeys. After baking the cookie shapes, I spent the next hour making the royal icing in 4 colors and 2 consistencies of each color. And after all that, I thought, do I really want to decorate this? This is kind of silly. But I had promised my oldest son, he doesn't look like that anymore, that he could help me out with making these cookies. So since I had already committed to it, we got started with it, and I distinctly remember making the bands of color for the turkey's tail and taking a toothpick and pulling the lines through. You know, the very basics of marbling. And that was it. I was completely and officially hooked. So I spent the next few months devouring the blogs of the sweet adventures of Sweet Sugar Bow. And also Lila Boa. I mentioned the blogs because although Facebook was around, the blogs gave so much more information for free. And to put this time frame into perspective, Instagram was in its infancy. I really didn't know anything about it. Can you imagine life without Instagram right now? I certainly didn't even have an Instagram account. So I just went through these cookie websites and I tried out a few designs. And of course, those blogs, you can see the reflective in some of those cookie designs from back in the day. I was endlessly showing my husband, Mike, pictures from Sweet Sugar Bell's blog and saying, oh my gosh, she's brilliant, look at this. And I lost so much sleep going down those rabbit holes of those cookie blogs. So back then, there were only a few shops that had cookie decorating supplies. Karen's Cookies, owned by our beloved Mike and Karen, was one of my go-to online shops. And while visiting their online shop, I stumbled across the Cookiers R Us forum. Anybody remember the Cookiers R Us forum? Obviously, because it doesn't exist anymore. It was a chat page of sorts, and Mike would moderate it. It was a lot easier back then, wasn't it? Yeah. So while I was going through that forum, I came across this post about a cookie decorating convention. My heart sped up. I saw that all of the famous cookiers that I had admired were going to be there in person. So I grabbed my laptop and I crept out to the office where my husband Mike was. And I said, oh my gosh, there's a convention about cookie decorating. I kid you not, without hesitation, he said, you're going, aren't you? I said, but he's in Salt Lake City in November. Mind you, remember I'm from Maryland, so Salt Lake City is a way far away. And he's like, and? You're going, aren't you? So obviously, I won the lottery with that one. So fast forward a few months, it's time for CookieCon. I packed my Sugar Show entries in my carry-on bag because you don't want to check that stuff. My fancy blinged out apron. Yep. And I had to check 8 D batteries because there were lights that were attached to that. Yeah. They made it into the check bag. I was determined to do it, but that was before LEDs. Okay, so a long time ago. I was determined to do all of the CookieCon things because I figured it was a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. So I flew to Salt Lake City and only could experience what was just magic as the only word to describe it. There were people from all over the world in one room, and they spoke the same language as I did. PME and NP. Boo-boo sticks and Wilton. Ateco and CK Products. Americolor and Ann Clark. The vendor hall was a literal hallway. Julia Usher was there with her books, and Kip and BRP boxes were there. You could, though, order some stuff from Karen Cookies, Karen's ahead of time, and then she'd bring it to CookieCon, so you did have to pay the shipping. So we were seated, as Mike and Karen had described, we were seated in a big ballroom with these big round tables, and every presenter that would present on their topic. So the presenters moved in and out, we stayed put, so it was completely different than how we experience it now. It was different from the second CookieCon on, because I was there. So I'd like to share with you a few highlights from that very first CookieCon. I saw Lisa Snyder, the barefoot baker. She demonstrated how to use an airbrush, and I immediately went home and bought one. I also saw Marianne Rollins, our cookie artisan, and she showed us how you can take a cookie cutter, once you cut the shapes, flip one of the shapes over, so now you have a mirror image of the cookie. So don't go out and buy a left foot and a right foot cutter. You just take one and you flip it over. Yes. There was Liz Adams. You know her. She made me cry because cookies really are a wonderful world. Very sweet. I saw Pam Sneed there, and she picked my apron as her favorite. And I got to meet Callie Alvarado. Yes. And I had no idea at that time that she would become a friend in real life. So I returned home, 2 awards from the Sugar Show in hand, and my cup was filled, as Karen says. Well, actually, my cup was overfilled. I was faced with a choice to continue my middle school science teaching career, or to leap into cookies full time. And you can see the choice that I made. And he made all the phone calls and stuff for me because I don't like calling strangers. Once I heard that CookieCon was going to happen again, I started saving my pennies. I didn't buy the newest cutters. I was determined to repurpose what I had. I spent more nights on orders just to make a few extra dollars. I bought Walmart underwear. I made getting to every single future CookieCon a priority. I felt like a CookieCon groupie. I had to go. I had to be there, no matter where or when it was going to be. So I attended CookieCon 2014 and 2015. Those are the pins that you get every year. Then in 2017, I was honored as a core instructor. I taught about textures. Royal icing textures are a new thing, guys. They've been around for a while. I went to CookieCon 2019 in Indianapolis. Then in 2018 in Indianapolis. 2019, I was in Reno, right here. I did add-on classes here, add-on classes in Louisville, Orlando. I helped out Annie K's Cookies in Dallas. I had to make sure I was around for my son who was graduating from basic training. So, actually turning blue, wrong way. And then of course there's our most recent pin right up there. I can easily say that CookieCon changed the trajectory of my life. Had it not been for CookieCon, I wouldn't have met cookiers who gave me the courage to start dreaming of an at-home business instead of my full-time teaching career. I will be forever grateful because I've been able to see my kids' activities without having to request time off from my job. I have daily lunch breaks and breakfasts with my husband. I've been able to do grown-up things like travel and rent a car and drive in an unknown city by myself. I used Uber for the first time. So many big experiences for this country girl. CookieCon gives me the chance to stretch my creative wings and to see the newest, greatest concepts in the cookie world. I get to see my whoops, not that far. Hang on, back up, there we go. I get to see my cookie friends, there they are, and many, many more. But these cookie friends and all of you now, it's like a sweet family reunion. So every time I leave CookieCon, it's a literal sugar rush. But there's also a longing to experience it all over again. Some people anxiously wait for a holiday or the release of a new iPhone or designer handbag. I anxiously await for CookieCon. Over the years though, the cookie world has grown exponentially. So many new cookiers, so many new places to purchase cookie supplies, TV shows that focus on just cookies. All of this growth hasn't been without hurdles. Social media, competition, ever-changing cottage laws, super finicky customers. It's been hard. It's been really hard. There have been days when I wanted to close up shop, sell all of my cutters, and use up all of my ingredients and, heaven forbid, a cake. So when I saw new cookie trends, I felt the pressure to jump on that bandwagon to fit in, even though it may not have been my cookie style. I appreciated the concept of community over competition until new cookiers popped up in my area where I was the cookie lady. It was difficult to cheer on new cookiers whose starting price points matched and exceeded mine, which had taken me over 10 years of intense decorating experience to accomplish. I hated the word algorithm. After watching social media accounts grow exponentially overnight, where I saw my numbers barely budge at all. I was going through the motions of cookie orders, and I begrudgingly muddled through them. If my cookie income wasn't earmarked for my car payment, house improvement projects, and my kids' braces, I probably would have converted my cookie kitchen into a great man cave for my husband. The joy that cookies had brought me was replaced with a pretty bitter and dark void. Most people don't know that. Then COVID hit. My negative cookie headspace was compounded by the search for basic food items and toilet paper. Parties were postponed, large orders were canceled, life was seemingly put on hold. We were afraid to go to the grocery store, afraid to visit our elderly parents. Our social media feeds were filled to the brim with just plain ugliness. But you know what also was canceled? CookieCon. My guaranteed source of positive, emotional cookie fuel was in limbo. Although I had a lot to be thankful for, my kids had adjusted really well to virtual learning, we were all healthy, we had unlimited data plans. I was still lost. I didn't know the direction of my cookie journey. My cookie GPS had no signal. So after many months of secret wallowing, I decided I needed to take control of my mindset, to take care of me. I needed to dig out of that spiraling depression I was in. We've all heard of that little phrase of a honeybee saying, "Be kind to others." It was time to turn that mantra inward. It was time to be kind to myself. I realized that little honeybee concept is kind of cliche, yeah, it is. But it speaks to me personally. I'm such a science nerd, especially when it comes to nature and insects. And let's face it, these are honorary cookiers because they take some pretty basic ingredients and they make something sweet, so. It's easy to be kind to others. Please and thank yous, helping out when you see the opportunity, a simple smile. Being kind to yourself takes a little more practice, a little more intention. And if you're anything like me, you've probably put yourself last in many situations. The last one to eat, the last one to shower, the last one to bed because you've been doing everyone else's laundry. It's just what we do. But imagine this. How much more could you care for others once you've taken the strides to care for yourself? It's like the safety protocols at the beginning of a flight. You gotta put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can help other people. So I'd like to share with you now my 5 fundamental thoughts on how I am making strides to be kinder to myself. And I hope that some of these will help you out too. Number 1, be okay with setting boundaries and sticking to them. See what I did there, B? These boundaries could be anything. The number of cookie orders you take in a week, your bedtime, the amount of money you spend on cookie supplies. When I left my teaching gig to do cookies full time, I was working on cookies every night of the week. I was in my studio all the time, and I felt like I had to push myself to the limit to make up for the lost income from leaving teaching. Cookies aren't a teaching career, you know. But finally, my husband had a heart with me. He missed me. He made me promise to not work on cookies anymore on the weekends unless I absolutely had to. Yeah, I get away with doing sketches or doing emails, but I try not to bake and decorate on the weekends anymore unless I kind of want to. Unless I also want more space. So do I say no to a lot of orders? You bet. And in fact, I stopped taking orders last fall so I can refocus on where I want my new cookie journeys to go, and also to be there even more with my family. Number 2, be positive. We all have had bad days. We all get stuck in icky situations, big and small. Couple a bad mood with a propensity for worrying over everything. It was a hot mess. My husband was calling me grouchy Smurf, because you know I'm only 3 hours higher than I said. Any 80s kids not get that? 3 hours higher our Smurfs? All you new people. I just had dwelled on the negative so much, as there seemed to be an endless supply of things to be grumpy about. The negativity was affecting the relationship with my family, my sleep, my creativity. It was just bad. So I started to change my mindset. I started to purposely find the silver lining in all the situations that I faced. I know it sounds silly, but it actually works. So for example, I used to get pretty cranky if I ran out of dough in the middle of an order. Now, I say to myself, at least you don't have to go to the store because you bought extra ingredients last week. See the mindset change? Here's another example. My son had drove over a big, huge bolt and popped the tire in my car. Yeah. So before, I would have focused on the money and the inconvenience of the whole situation. But now, I think at least it happened in a parking lot where he was able to safely stop the car. So I am here to tell you that, yeah, this whole look for the silver lining is kind of silly, but that simple act of acknowledging it can change how you react to situations. Number 3, believe your worth is not based on likes. I'm so glad I got that reaction because I'm like, dude, better clap for that one. All right. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I love how social media allows me to connect with friends from all over, but I hate how much emphasis is placed on that stupid algorithm. My clients love seeing posts of cookies that they've ordered, and they tag their friends and family, oh, look at the cookies I made. But I hate how social media is so inconvenient, and I have to rely on it to help me advertise for an event or a class or something like that. Because you never know if people are going to see it. I love sharing cookies that I was particularly fond of, but I hate it when those like numbers don't reflect how much I loved those cookies. That defeated feeling is completely overwhelming. So here's what I've realized, and what I still struggle with every single day. I would rather have 10 likes from cookiers from my peers than 1,000 likes from a bunch of randos that don't know the difference between royal icing and buttercream. So obviously treasure every comment, every like that you receive. Very important. But don't give those numbers control over how you feel. Make steps to not dwell on those insights and analytics. You can even hide your likes. Did you know that? Hide them. Start thinking about your social media accounts as a portfolio of your work, which leads perfectly to my next point. Be proud of your work. Think back to your early cookie sets. Visit those pictures in your photo albums or on your social media feeds. You probably recognize the flaws in them now because you've grown as a cookier. But I want you to remember how you felt when you completed those past cookies. There was a sense of joy. There was a sense of pride. And it was that sense of pride is what pushed you to do more cookie things. Celebrate those little victories you had along the way. Your cookie eyeballs didn't crater. That red icing didn't bleed that one time. It's the worst. You found the cutter you were searching for in under 15 minutes. So be proud of what you accomplished. I guarantee that there are a few cookiers in this audience right now who brought an entry for the sugar show, but they haven't entered it. They worked hard on that piece at home, carefully packaged it so they could bring it here in one piece. They carried that piece to the sugar show, saw the other entries, and thought, nope. I'm not putting my cookie next to those pieces of art. And then they promptly took that cookie back to their hotel rooms. Anybody gonna admit to being that person? I heard it, yeah, I know you're out there. So to those cookiers, please go enter your work. Please show it off. You put in the effort to make it and bring it. Put in the effort to allow everyone to enjoy it. And as a little extra incentive and a little confidence booster, these are my husband's very first. Shows them in his office on a little shelf. And finally, number 5.
Of course.
Be willing to try something new and be willing to fail. Failure is the result of trying something new. Can be the result. But you know what also is the result of trying something new? Learning and growth. It takes courage to step outside of that cookie cutter and to try something new. Back in the day, I could identify individual cookie artists because of their decorating style and their photography style too, because they were really distinctive. But with the booming growth of the cookie community, it is more and more difficult to identify individual cookiers because of trends. So many cookiers feel like they have to follow the trends they see on Instagram and Facebook because that's what's popular. Be brave and step out on your own. Don't feel the need to copy a design or feel lost when you have no example to follow. Experiment. Put in the time and effort to figure things out on your own. So stop putting the whole, show me your baby shower cookies. Figure it out by yourself. Seriously. When you put in that time and effort, you will be amazed at the things that you'll discover. So the willingness to work through those success and failures is how you can elevate yourself from a cookie decorator to a cookie artist. So that's it. Those are my tips on how you too can be a little kinder to yourself. Being kind isn't something that magically happens overnight. There's going to be setbacks. It's a process that takes time. So start right here. Start right now. Make this CookieCon be that turning point for you. Show yourself some love. Don't be so hard on yourself. Make yourself a priority and be intentional about giving yourself some grace. This journey we're on isn't easy, but we can definitely try to make it a little sweeter. So to close off our little speech for tonight, Ann Clark and I worked together to create some little cute bee and honeycomb cookies. Cookie cutters rather for you. You're all not getting cookies, sorry. And you can pick them up in the back hallway. So if you exit out those doors, go that way for Eddie, go those doors to get those cookie cutters. But you can also pick up those cookie cutters anytime over the weekend, tomorrow or Saturday morning at the registration desk. Okay. So I would like to say thank you. Enjoy your stay here at CookieCon. Make it the best weekend of 2022.